Testing 1, 2, 3. Well, that's something. Doesn't matter. Okay, the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, power, and glory, yours now and forever. In your Son, our Lord, our Savior, our King, Jesus Christ. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag, United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. One bowl. Okay. I know. I know. This is it. Hope you all are well. Know it's been time. Um, but as I said, if you're part of my Patreon page, you would have seen constant other posts. Okay. And if you're part of my Odyssey, you would have seen exclusive, um, interesting things that I can never do on this platform. I am demonetized totally across the board on this platform. So, where I used to help people and I used to help people get things, do things, I do not have such capabilities. The only thing that's keeping me going here with my time is my Patreon page. That covers some of the cost. Okay, we're going to read Ephesians 1:11. We're going to hop to, well, you'll see. In him also we have obtained an inheritance, being predestined according to the purpose of Him who works all things according to the counsel of His will. I'm going to jump to 2, and that's why I said by grace through faith. And He who made alive, who were dead in trespasses and sins, in which you once walked according to the curse of this world, according to the prince of power of the air, the spirit who now works in the sons of disobedience, among whom also we all once conducted ourselves in the lusts of our flesh. Okay. Fulfilling the desires of the flesh and of the mind, and were by nature children of the wrath, just as the others. But God, who is rich in mercy, because of his great love with which he loves us, even when we were dead in trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved. According to the prince and the power and the air and the spirit now works in the sons' disobedience. As the prince of power of the air, Satan is not limited to the surface of the earth, and so can move quickly and try to prevent unbelievers from coming to the faith. Yet he is no match for the Holy Spirit, right? And he was defeated twice, once in heaven, second time, Jesus defeated him on the cross. Those battles saved us. Okay? We live in a fallen world. The world is constantly testing us, as we've seen. There are very trying times ahead. Through information, I've tried to prepare you for what's coming. Why? Um, it takes nothing to stand in front of a truck and let it hit you. Um, I understand that you're not afraid, but by the grace of God, He puts you here to do other things, which means to spread His word and His love to others, to keep people, especially in times like this, away, because I believe that the Antichrist is alive and well and here. I don't know where, but I do believe he's on this planet. I believe that all these things, these insane things, are preparing his way. And unfortunately, in order to make people desperate enough to succumb to that, they have to basically take away energy. And what I mean by the energy, I mean watts, right? Your electricity, but also your calories. It's amazing what people will do for food. There was a crash. I don't know if it was commercial or if it was private, but it happened up in the Andes, and people were starting to eat their own flesh. That's how hungry they were. They would, in the beginning, eating the dead bodies, but then they ran out of that and they started to look at their own flesh. Unbelievable, right? So I put it to you that hmm, I'll go to yeah, this would be Acts 2:38. Then Peter said to them, repent and let everyone of you be baptized in the name of Jesus Christ for the remission of sins, and you shall receive the gift of the Holy Spirit. We've seen, even when rich people get everything that they want, supposedly, but they're not happy. They're not happy. And then they put their head into drugs and other things and whatnot to try to make themselves happy, but they're not. Some of the times that I think that I'm happiest now, but again, um, some of the incredible struggles that I had in my life. I don't know if you've ever waxed a plane, but it's not like waxing a car. Um, a car is just the top. Plane is the top. Uh, underneath, you know, the the whole purpose of flight is that you have specific surfaces that are in contact with the air, and that's what provides the lift and allows the plane to travel through the air. So it's a lot to wax a plane, and it's specifically a lot to do it down in Florida in the summertime, when it's 98 degrees and 99% humidity. Um, it's a lot to lay out banners. It's a lot to fly banners. It's a lot to do all those things. So, but there's great satisfaction when you stand back and you see what you accomplish and what you've done. And then there's also great satisfaction to be rewarded, um, financially, by that person who appreciates your work. At any rate. Oh, Rick's here. Thank you. Not I'm not here. Feeling well enough to sit by a computer and watching from my lift chair. Well, that's okay. Let's everybody please pray for his health to improve and for God to reach down and just make him feel better. um, I've been blessed so many times in my life. And you think, the thing is that the times were extremely tough. Um, and people told me to. I am. I'm working on a novel. Um, it's called One Summer, and because one time, oh, I guess it was after my father passed. My father died January 7th, 1978. And yes, I was 17. I was it was hard. He was the only person who truly understood me at the time. I have been blessed because I have a wife that understands me, and she truly saved me in more ways than one and brought me to Jesus. But I was looking back and all the time that I spent with my father, and through all the trips and through the things which seem like a lot, of course, but it really isn't. Truth of the matter is, the total time I spent with my father while he was on this earth, everything, flying, hunting, doing the NASA stuff and everything, the lab, everything, you could was one summer. And I learned most things. The big thing was the ability of how to learn um, in that so-called summer. So that when I had my sons, I made it a point to set up our lives, and I discussed this with my wife, to which that I would take the entire summer off, and my wife would take the month of August off, and we would do uh, family things. Um, I got my Starlight. I lost my medical in '95, so I got the boat in the same year and proceeded to, um, you know, we were the second owners, and we basically spent the entire summer. It was like a second home to us, and I think the first 3 years we had her in Huntington Marina, and we always had it at a slip, and my sons and I would drive down there, and then we would spend the day working on the boat and doing stuff and learning how to swim. I taught them how to swim in the marina swimming pool. We didn't have a swimming pool in Brentwood. The house in Brentwood was only 1,200 square feet, had a one bathroom, three bedrooms. The bedrooms were very small, and the living room. um, and then we would get her in shape for the trip we would take, and then my wife would take off to August, and we would sail um, that month, and we would do the. We would probably go from Huntington to um, Mattatuck to um, Shelter Island to um, 3 Mile Harbor to Montauk Lake to Block Island, Great Salt Pond, stopping and spending time in each of these places, 2, 3, 4 days, more time on the, Block Island and Martha's Vineyard and, um, you know, things like this and Nantucket and Cape. And then when we moved the boat to Greenport, it was a rendezvous, Beneteau rendezvous. We have a Beneteau Oceanus 350. Then we saw how wonderful this marina was out there, and we decided to move the boat to Greenport. And then from Greenport, it was much easier. We saved basically 2 days and in travel to basically because then it was only 30 minutes to Shelter Island, and then it was only um, basically 2 hours to through Mount Harbor, which is basically East Hampton. So I could get you in the summertime faster to drive out to my boat and then go from Greenport to through Mount Harbor to Hamptons than it was to drive out to the Hamptons, which was insane. Okay, the especially like on a Friday, forget about it. And then we proceeded to travel up and down on these trips that we would take. We would travel up and down the East Coast. And doing so, would take pictures and do things with my sons. And as a family, we would play games, and it was it was um, it was very good, um, especially considering what the other children were doing. To where that when my sons got into high school and everything else, but they were able to. I mean, when Bobby was in high school, he was basically, I would call it the 10 percenter. Academically, he was in literally the top 10 to where that he was really. I mean, if they had um, um, a number one, they would have given it to him, but politically, they didn't want to do that, so it doesn't matter. The point is, um, he was involved in a lot of extra school activity, and he made Marine Athlete of the state of New York, uh, and then he went into the United States Naval Academy. Um, it was a hard work for Bobby to do athletic stuff. He had to work for it. He wasn't a natural born athlete. He had to he had to really work hard, and he became an athlete because of his work. Unlike my younger son James, who was a natural born athlete. Okay, he was like my uncle Don, other parts, and my cousins, to where that he just could do things out of the box, but also if he worked out, he got 3 to 4 times more benefit from that workout than Bobby would get. And it's just that's the way it works. And then he had natural abilities and other things as well. And you know, so but as the boat was a big factor in that because really, like I said, we had hot and cold running water, everything, everything. So um, we have 2 refrigerators, 2 freezers, so we could be out for a long period of time. Or really, the only commodity that we needed, basically every 3.5 to 4 days, was 110 gallons of water. That was a big thing. I would try to squeeze, and I'm not kidding. I mean, squeeze. I used to have a thing over the vent for the tank because a lot of times um, I literally would fill the diesel and it would just spurt out the vent, and that was bad because you didn't want it to get into the water. So I had a thing. I just used to I had a suction cup. It used to go right underneath the vent, and the diesel would come out and go into this dry. that I would usually have, I'm not kidding, like about a gallon that would fill up this thing that I would just keep in a jerry can. Usually a, old antifreeze bottle or oil thing that I would fill up with diesel just to get the minimum, $5, and sometimes I didn't, of diesel that I needed to get the 110 gallons of water. I mean, I remember once I was in Nantucket, and I I don't even think I had five. It was like three something of uh, of the thing, and the girl was just looking at me, and but I gave her a $15 tip, and because I took 110 gallons. Meanwhile, there's this big, huge boat in front of us. I have maybe, I don't know, 80 feet with a helicopter on and everything else. The guy takes, at the time, was a lot, like 3,500 bucks worth of fuel, and he doesn't tip her. It was typical. Um, so she was just looking. I mean, she just let it slide that we would, she knew what we were doing, because normally you'd have to pay. Okay, um, you know, 10 cents a gallon for the water. Anyway, and because water makers were so expensive, that's the whole thing. What am I saying? I'm saying because the, you see this insanity. Um, Ron DeSantis is really trying to put an end to it. At least he's trying to protect children in Florida as the governor, as a father, as a parent. And you can see the resistance he's getting. So that's the other thing I wanted to talk to you guys about. Yes, I think that Trump was a great president in some respects, in most respects. I mean, he had fantastic ideas. Where was he not? Well, he was not because of the fact that nobody around him was trustworthy except for just not even a handful of people. So that's not good because everything he did has been undone. And what should have been done is the 2016 elections and all the stuff that was going on then should have been really addressed so that we had a fair election in 2018 and we had another fair election in 2020. So, no, I never agree with the Q plan. I used to decipher the Q plan and tell you what was going on with it, but I could see that there were holes in it. I and also again, as you've seen, um, the number one threat to the planet is the sun. The number two threat is near Earth objects. The number three would be supervolcanoes, and number four is man, definitely, because of the insanity of the nuclear weapons and everything else. Anybody who thinks you can survive a nuclear war is insane. The preparation that I'm doing with others and you and so is not for a nuclear event. There is nothing except Jesus Christ that will prevent you from a nuclear holocaust. It's if you have any knowledge of nuclear material, there the cesium alone will kill you. Okay, and whether it be months or years, it doesn't matter. So that's what Satan wants. Satan wants a nuclear war. Satan wants chaos. Satan wants people to be in horrible situations. That's what he wants. How why does he want these things? Well, he's lost and he knows he's lost, but he's filled with such hate that he's trying to hurt God through us. By hurting us, he hurts God because God, think about it. If you have your children and somebody's hurting them, does that not cause you pain? It does. Christine Murphy asks us to pray for her son. That warfare is going on across the board with all of our children and people. So I say to you, please God in your mercy, reach down, make this person see by giving them your Holy Spirit and pointing out the path, the two-lane path that we're all chosen to, and we're all shown, right path and the left path. And usually the harder one is the right one. We ask this in your son's name, Jesus Christ. Amen. Gary, but God knows this. God knows everything. That's what people don't understand. That's why I always do the Lord's Prayer. Because the Lord's Prayer, God knows. So you're already putting your trust in Him for your needs, and He knows your problems, and He knows your needs, and He knows why these things are happening. And everything that's happened to me has worked out for an incredible blessings. I mean, like even my van, each time, I mean, like this time, it's broken down. It's still up in Vermont. That shipping problems, getting the stupid training to them. It's probably going to get there on the 21st. But I'm not, I'm not concerned because I know the kind of training. It's dyno tested. It's a brand new training, brand new parts in it. It's a remanufactured thing. It comes from Milwaukee, Monster Trainings, and it's warranted for 100,000, 5 years, which is better than the original warranty on the original transmission. So I know that I'm going to get probably 125, 130,000 miles out of it this time. I'm going to at 100,000, I'm going to bring it down to Georgia, a trading place I know. Have it rebuilt right there and then right at 100,000 before it even breaks, and that'll be the least expensive and the best thing to do. So, and you're like, oh, Bob, you're gonna put another yeah on that van? Are you kidding? Yeah, I drive it that much. So, I'll probably knock out that 100,000 and I don't know, probably 5 years, if not sooner. So, and you, Bob, how you gonna do the diesel thing? I have a 68-gallon auxiliary fuel tank that actually fits in my back of my van, and it has an electric fuel pump and the whole thing. So I'm gonna be putting that in um, before I go. I have another trip I'm scheduled to go down to Florida in. So in case I run into any problems, I will have enough fuel to get me about 2,200 miles. I should be able to find fuel within that range. And unlike other things, see, my van can run on anything. It doesn't have to. It can run on home heating oil. It can run on peanut oil. It can run on anything because it doesn't have any pollution stuff. But where it broke down was like incredible. 5 miles down the road from the Ford place, and in perfect safety and in perfect place for us to get it towed to the other place. And it could have been a lot worse, a lot worse. And because I have friends, they, it wa- it was great. So thank you, God. And instead of the thing costing me like $5,000, $10,000, which training cost, $2,600. Yes, I know that's a lot of money, but for training the size that way, the training itself weighs almost 1,200 pounds. So it's a truck training. It's a E350 Super D. It's huge. And even back in, oh, I guess this was, I don't know, 2012, when I had it rebuilt, which was a mistake. It cost me almost $4,000. So a brand new one, it's cost me 2,600 bucks. Ford's charging me 900 to install it. So I'm like, and you're like, wow, that's long. Not really. If you look at the miles and the years I've had that van, 20 years, it's 2002. This is nothing. Nowhere near what you would have to pay for a new car, and the payments every month and everything else. So nope, she's, and then on the highway, a lot of times I'm driving 60 because of just the way things are. Um, I get 30, 32 miles to the gallon. The engine's barely running. I think the load is like, and that's really only because I have the AC cranked up. Load on the engine, because I have a gauge, it says everything's like 12, 13%. It's kind of ridiculous. When you go, 83, 84 miles an hour, the speed limit's down south. I mean, their speed limit is like 80, and I mean, it's 12, 13, because you're pushing all that air away. I mean, the engine loves it, loves you being in the pedal, but it's like towing. If I'm towing at 60, I'm getting 12 to 15 miles to the gallon, depending on the terrain. If I'm going up and down mountains, I'm getting like 12, 12 and a half, which is far better than my friend who has a new 6.7. Okay. He has a brand new 6.7. And around town, he gets, I don't know, 18, 19 on the highway. Around town, he gets like 12. When he's towing, he gets like 7. So they say it's no. The truth of the matter is that the particulate filter, the reason why you don't see the soot, is it collects in there and then it goes through regen mode, which sprays more fuel, ignites it, and burns it clear out to the. So that it's actually burning a third more fuel, which is insane. Okay, it's a gimmick. It doesn't. No, I don't I don't want black smoke coming out of my tailpipe because it's money out of my pocket. So what I do is I put a bigger turbo on it. I put the original OEM injectors into it, things like this to make it burn better, more efficiently, and produce more power for the same amount of stuff. Okay, so it's important. Just like the diesel on my boat. I only had a 21-gallon fuel tank on my boat diesel. It's a Yamaha M2000. I mean, it's a Volvo M2003. It's just a three-cylinder manual injected diesel. Yeah, when it's idling, which it doesn't like to do that much, really, to be honest with you. But you have it idle. It The exhaust comes out. Yeah, it's a little oily and stuff like that, which is fine. But you normally run it the sweet spot of where it really wants to run at is 1725, 17. It's between that and 1780. It's a sweet spot for diesel. I've seen really all the diesels that I have, my generator outside, my engine, my van, something about that RPM. They just love that RPM. I guess it's enough to where that they have enough lubrication on the walls because it's and it's usually half of the red line, and it's like 50% of the output. It's like they'll run all day, and they sip fuel at that sweet spot. I mean, my Starlight, she would burn maybe, I don't know, half a gallon an hour at that. And a lot of times I would be motor sailing from one place to another because after 3, 4 days on the hook, you have to charge up both banks of batteries. And the only way I had no solar panel. The only way I could do that was with my big alternator, and that was off of the engine. So I would start the engine, run it up to about 1725, and with the sails out, just yep, and just charge everything up. So by the time I got to my next destination, I'd have hot water, which my wife liked. I also would like it. My son taking hot showers is nice on a boat, and I'd have fully charged batteries, a 80 and a big 4D AGM, big batteries, and so and then we would normally, as we were going into that, we'd crank up everything like the freezers to get them really really cold, so that we could turn them to normal, which means they wouldn't even run for the first day we were there at on the hook. Which again, everything was power. Everything you had to worry about power. So now that that's over, as I said to you, I knew that we were going to be in a recession. I put it to you that we're probably going to be in worse than a recession. We're in a recession now. We're headed for a depression. Okay. Um, More food plants have been on fire. 10,000 cows somehow were killed, and nobody knows why. So there's no question that forces at bay are bringing more mouths to feed into this country by record numbers. And yet they are taking away those sources of food worldwide. So they're going to create a crisis on purpose, just like they created a fuel crisis. And I put it to you, your fuel is insanely expensive, your electricity is expensive, food is expensive and going to increase more. So buy anything you can because it's only going to get more expensive. So, and then I put to you, yes, you're going to have to cut back. Now, unlike what people used to do in the past and store gasoline and things like this, you can't store gasoline. Um, Biden knows this, or the people controlling him know this. So that's why they increased it to um, 10 to 20% on the ethanol. Again, ethanol is made out of food. It doesn't work. There's been studies done that the amount of energy you get from it is not is there's more energy put into it than you get from it. So again, that's going to stress what are you saying, Bob? What to because it's animal feed. The animal feed. Oh, well, what are you gonna? You see what I'm saying? Prices go up. Diesel is extremely expensive. What does that do? Here's a farmer. He has to plant a field. What did he do? He didn't do it because he didn't have the money to spend on getting the amount of diesel he would need to plant that field. And he can't even get the fertilizer. All these things are going to have a multiplication effect. And this is intended. Okay. People say, well, why? They don't, they're not worried about the elections. Don't you see? They're not worried. Everybody said, oh, it's going to be a big red wave. It's going to be like this. Just like they said, oh, Trump is going to win. How could he possibly lose? Biden got 81 million votes, more than Obama from his basement. Interesting, right? Are they worried? Has that system changed? Has not changed. In some states, there were regulations. Where are these people being flown into? Where are these people being moved to? Why is this administration doing unbelievable legal acts to move these people all over the country? I'm going to tell you, if he thought that these people were the people pulling the strings, thought that these people were going to vote red Republican, oh, there'd be a wall. And it would have been up. Why did Trump, who ran on that wall, didn't make sure that it was done before he had to leave office? Why didn't he make sure that the election system was done after the 2016 snafu? Why did he not make sure that announced the problems and the threats to the earth? Why did he not ask the Japanese prime minister about Fukushima? See, there's a lot of things. So people are asking me, oh, Trump. No, I don't want Trump again. Trump, I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not saying this. I'm saying that he is a lightning rod, big time, for a lot of people. And at best, he can only serve one term. So, yes, that's where I want Ron DeSantis if we survive that long, to where that we have that ability. And then before that, these elections have to be made perfectly incorruptible. And I told you guys how to do that. And that is actually Trump's idea, and he should have been talking about it. He should have been talking about it in his first month of being a president. So, am I blame? No, not blaming him. I never would blame him. I thought he did a fantastic job considering, like I said, he couldn't even take a piss. But the reality is that everything he accomplished has been undone. And it's really, really bad in our armed forces now. Worse than it was ever underneath Obama and Biden. And what that has done is that it has really emboldened our enemies big time. To which that you will see China go into Taiwan before the end of the summer. And he's helping China in every way, shape, and form. If you really look at what's going on. And then where is all this aid going in the Ukraine? It's not, I have people on the ground. It's not going, 10% of it may be going to the actual battle. I have no idea where all the other stuff is going. And then you look into it and you find out that President Biden has discretion over those funds and that stuff. Not President Trump. Okay. Have we established that even though I only have 14 people watching me, that I was right the entire time and they're wrong, and yet they still are on their podcasts and everything else telling you just because they're telling you what you want to hear doesn't mean I would love to say those things. I would love to say anything. I don't do that. I tell you the truth. Okay. Because the truth is the thing that's going to set you free. Energy is the real money. I said this forever since I started my channel. Energy is the real money. Diesel runs this country. 92% of diesel is not even used for transportation. Only 6% is used for transportation. But that 6% is critical. Okay. Trains, trucks is the fundamental thing. The other stuff is used for home heating, hot water, industrial use. Uh, so you could see where there's a tremendous problem. It's going to affect, and you haven't seen anything. So it's like you're taking a 5 gallon gas pan and you're pouring it on a smoldering fire of inflation, which isn't smoldering, it's a raging bonfire. And you're just throwing more gasoline on the fire, which means our inflation, unlike what President Biden says, is actually higher than all the other nations. It's higher than all these nations. Okay. Yes. Is it lower than Venezuela? Yes. But it's higher than France, higher than Scotland, higher than England, higher than India, higher than China. Russia ruble has doubled in value. So everything he said has been, remember the strings. It's been proven to be incorrect, as well as everything X-22. These others have been telling you has been proven to be incorrect. Did they say that they were going to be doing the perp walk soon? Did they say that Doom was going to? Did that happen? No, it didn't happen. Did all the records come out and whatever? Did it happen? No, it didn't happen. Instead, you have this ongoing fictitious trial, which is on every station of January 6th. Was that really truly a 3 letter setup? Answer: yes. Doesn't matter. What did Hitler say? Says just keep telling it. Keep telling a lie. Keep telling it. Keep telling it. This is what I'm saying. In God's grace, the sun has had huge CMEs that have missed us, glanced us. The big ones have just missed us. The filaments have not gone off. But again, you have to see what the media is not talking about. What are they not talking about? They're not talking about UFOs. talking about UAPs. They're not talking about that Alpha Centauri would have actually seen light and radio signals, like the lights of the Earth at night. The only way that could be caused, and the frequencies and everything else, is from people or aliens with intelligent stuff, right? There's no question through all the military stuff that's been released, we've been visited. And again, this goes back, it's not Ruskies, whatever, because my father had the same sighting of these so called Tic Tacs back in 1956. So if you think it's possible we have the technology now, well then go back to 1956, and there were other sightings then, and say to yourself, "Oh, gee, yeah, we didn't. There's no way we had the technology then." I'm telling you, we don't have the technology now. We don't have anything that approaches anything that could go from Mach 3 to Mach 20 in a millisecond. We have nothing like that. Okay, you're talking about something that would you into mist. Okay, I'm not kidding. It would turn conventional steel into a flat thing. The forces are so incredibly great. So you're talking about a technology that's at least, I would say, 500 to 1,000 years ahead of what we have now. That's the reality. Are the aliens good? I'm sure there's some that are good. I'm sure most of them are not good. I'm sure that there's ones that do not have our best interest involved. Why do we not hear about it? Because just the same reason why they're talking about flooding in Yellowstone. Yeah, that flooding was preceded by over 1,000 minor earthquakes and uplifting. They don't want to tell you that because if there are signs that that thing is going to go, that going to kill the proud people, the LGBTQ plus whatever the thing is, going to kill a white person. It's going to kill. It's going to kill everything. Going to kill. Doesn't matter. It's non-discriminatory. Just like war is non-discriminatory with a bomb. Okay, what does that mean? That unites people. Starvation is not a uniting of people. Starvation, you get the worst of people. They want. You see it. Just go to Black Friday sale or something like that. You see what happens just on the so-called discounts on the day after Thanksgiving. What do you think is going to happen when the shelves are empty? When they're rationing things, so just that's what's going to happen next. Gas lines ration. I was there for the first ones. It was not pretty. I I it's not that I'm not for Trump. I'm just saying that there are now better choices than Trump is. Okay, Ron DeSantis is a veteran, Navy veteran. He's proven to stand up to these people. He's extremely intelligent, and he has friends. Look what he's done for Florida. So, and he can serve 2 terms. Again, let's just focus on this. Okay, focus on this. Trump chose Pence. Okay? Trump chose Kelly. Trump chose these people around him. Whether they betray him, you are judged also on your choices. Character assessment is very important. So I'm not saying I don't love Trump. I do. But what I'm saying is, if Ron runs, and you see how loyal Ron is, Ron says he's not going to run if Trump runs. You won't have that choice. Um, we get back to John. So I don't agree with you. I think that there were other choices that were out there for things that I think would have been better. I think that I look back and I think that the biggest mistake that he made was Pence. Big, big mistake. And who am I? Well, those are facts. Sometimes you only get one chance, people. Like I said, the big thing now is he's a lightning rod. He is a lightning rod for the left. Even though that all that stuff is fake, it was said so much. People believe it, still believe it, even though it was proven false. They never went and retracted it. They never did a retraction of it. And DeSantis stands up, and he has, because of his military experience, he has people. So look, I was Trump's biggest fan, but then when he didn't really, when it was known to me that the letter was there, that we did what we did paragraphs, we signed it with everything else. It, it's not like it was we're blowing. It's not fake. It's real. You see how real it is. Um, these things are all too real, and the only way you can deal with them is um, by talking about them, by getting it out front. The it would have curtailed all these things because all they're about is climate change and everything else. Um, again, he gave in to a certain amount of that, and Um, yes, we need something else besides chemical energy. We need to get off and get into superconductivity and nuclear energy of all types, both fission and fusion and one. Instead, it's what it is. But I can tell you again that people he counted on did not come through on many occasions. And they are trying to make these lies that you can see them all telling, and they're going to continue to tell them. And it's a shame because he was a very good president. He had great ideas. Best president in my lifetime. But like John F. Kennedy, what did they do? They did a Charlie Oscar Utah Paul, not by happenstance. Anyway, are there any questions? What is your price of fuel there? My price is 6.70 for a diesel and 5.25 for a regular. $6 for premium. My electric bill, my natural gas is $5 and something cents. It's insane, per. Um, it's really insane because we have an abundance of natural gas. The other thing that's insane is LA just said, well, you can't build a house, can't build anything with, based on gas stoves. Nope. I don't know what they're going to tell the Chinese restaurants because you cannot do walks on an induction or anything like. You need to have a flame. Can't do it. There are no so-called electrical walks. Okay, those walks go over a thing where the pedal that boosts it up to 150,000 BTU. That's how Chinese food works. There's lots of restaurants that do that kind of cooking. There's lots of people who do that kind of cooking. No more. Um, and instead, you have now the Republicans who gave in to this gun legislation instead of focusing on the issue. The issue is murder. The issue is killing. The issue is thieving. The issue is bad people are doing bad things. The instrument by which they do it doesn't matter. For example, here, other places, they're leaving tainted dollar bills and 20 bills and tainted change with fentanyl. So that if a person picks it up, child, by the way, picks it up, they die from fentanyl poisoning. Yeah, killing a lot of people. That's fentanyl. Portland, Oregon, they did a wonderful thing. They decriminalized drug use. Now they have over it was like 1,200 something overdose deaths in a week. What I've always said was this: you still keep illegal drugs illegal, okay? But you open centers where there's two windows: drug treatment to get you off of the stuff, and here, sign a waiver, and we'll give you the stuff free, no charge. Okay. Why? Because you could commission Eli Lilly to make tons of the stuff for pennies a pound synthetically. Okay, and then you have enough money put aside to where that you can deal with it as a health crisis. You still keep it illegal to sell unless uh, uh, I think all prescription drugs should be for sale by drugstores. Why? Where you only get a letter from your doctor telling you what he thinks you should have so that I can shop for my prescriptions. My prices would be lower, right? Because then they want your business. Now, that's it. You have to buy these pills. You have to get it through that. It keeps the drug price artificially high. It's not working by keeping it illegal and then not really, you know, penalizing them. For example, this latest murder with this guy was he should have been in jail. They let him out on the, he had a gun. It was his third strike with guns, and they let him out. What did he do? Go and kill two cops who have wives and kids. Those cops should not be dead. Those fathers should not be dead. They should be celebrating Father's Day this weekend and not going to. Instead, those children are going to be going to a funeral. Was it illegal? The guns were illegal. He was a felon. It was illegal. It's illegal to murder. It's illegal. You know what I'm saying? More gun laws are not going to do a damn thing. They're not going to have any effect on anything except an effect on your legal rights. Okay. It's just like if I banned the car because it was a killing with a, oh, well, all the drunk drivers, we got to ban those cars. We got to ban cars. I even put a thing in a piece in a paper, um, a post that it was a comment, and I said ban steel. With steel, you got it. You got you're gonna you, you get the number one killer, which is knives. Big on cars. That's 150, 160,000 a year. That's gone. Trucks, yeah, okay. Somebody hit on a train track, you got it. So no good. Even if somebody pushed out an air conditioner out a window, yep, got that too. Washing machines, anvils, guns, get it all. Yeah, would that stop killing? And I said, as long as there's a rock, somebody's gonna, whatever. And they missed the point. Somebody starts chastising me, or yeah, well, a rock you can make, you could make flint, sharp things, whatever tools. You can take a stick and make it a point. It's the act of the evil that's the problem. Okay, because people made Molotov cocktails and throw them into right to life things. Um, is is that reason why you should ban bottles, gasoline, and rags? People are going to do evil things no matter what. Okay. Do I want people to be walking around with a concealed gun that are not? I'm going to put it to you this way: I don't want illegals to be driving. You show up in New York State, you get a driver's license. Do you know what I had to do to go a driver's license? I was 16. I had to take a test. First of all, a test to show that I knew the rules, and then I had to take a driver's test. And my driver's test was on a stick. And believe me, mine struck that in infamy because he went to hills and other things and so and so. But I passed. I had my license, even though my birthday's in November. I had my license before my friends because that was important to me. What was important to my friends? Smoke pot, drink beer, get drunk Friday nights, and party. That was not important to me. It was important to me to be able to drive. Okay. So, and oh, they check your eyesight too. So, what I want the same thing. I want everybody, including police, you'll see, and that means FBI and everybody else, okay, to go through this test where they have to qualify on an IMSIC range. Yeah. But then when you get that license, just like your driver's license, you could drive in all 50 states. You can carry your gun and on your person the same way. Okay. Cop stops you in the car. You say, "Look, sir, I have a concealed gun license. Here's my license, and I do have a concealed gun." Blah blah blah. That's the way it should be. Okay. You can own anything, but to carry the gun loaded, which means you could carry to the range unloaded and then shoot it at the range, learn how to be proficient. But if you want to carry that weapon anywhere, personal protection. Now, there might be some establishments, I can tell you right now, they're going to say, no firearms admitted. I see it now. Guess what? That's fine. But they're going to suffer consequences also because that means they're excluding all those people who are carrying to go in that establishment. In New York State now, they can have anything on it because there's only, and this is including everybody, there's only about 100,000 licensed people that can to carry, but civilians, it's less than 40,000 in the state of New York. But Bob, though, I just read there were 9 shootings. So make it, you got to put the law down. Really. New York Safe Act, as I said before, you're only allowed to have 7 rounds in your gun. You cannot have, if you grab the gun and then you can't brandish the gun, which means you either use it or you're going to lose it. I'm not kidding. And you're liable for everything. Anything that comes out of that gun, you're liable for. Even if you took that gun and you hit the person over the head, you are liable for whatever happens to that person. The criminal who the carjackings are up 600%, home invasions, all these kind of horrible things. It's so dangerous here in New York. Th- They they're not allowed to. Do you think that I could sue the criminal who does something? No, can't do it. Is this what they want? They want you to be disarmed. Yes. Are they unprotected? Do they have their own security? Answer: yes. 40% of higher officers and that knowledge are leaving the force in New York City by the end of this year. So much voting for a Democrat, Adams. What's he interested in? He's interested in parties. He gets invited to all these parties. Yeah. Don't come to New York City. Don't travel on the subway. Even traveling in cabs. I seen people dragged out of cabs. Yeah, now the Trump social media, it's another one. They censored speech. speech that they did not agree with. Pretty ironic, huh? Yeah, why I didn't join it. Okay. What does that mean? Do I censor anybody on here? I censor somebody who's being a pain in the you know what, but I tolerate a lot. And I tolerate tremendous disagreement of my whatever I'm saying. I'll take a debate from anybody. Why? Because I know that what I'm saying is the truth. I stand up for what I'm saying. I know that God is real, God loves us, and his son was sacrificed for our salvation. And I know that Jesus sits right by his Father. And I know that the Holy Spirit is radiating at all Christians. I know this. I also know facts. I know that you cannot have a tree and you can't have any of these things just by so called evolution. If so called evolution was working, that tree would not be a tree. That tree would be have a trunk of calcium carbonate, a solid, and it's in the chemistry, by the way, so that you couldn't chop it down, you couldn't eat it, you couldn't burn it. It would have evolved to that. Think about it. Trees perfect for us. Without trees, we'd not. You can make houses, fire, fuel. The true first, and we've been using that solar power for 400,000 years. That is stored energy, shelter, food, you name it. So, what I've been saying to you is the truth. I'm not worried about people on here that are trying to disagree with me for anything. I want that because in the proving to this person that they are wrong, they are misinformed, it informs others of the truth. Just like when I did the radio show with John, when I would he would look at me because he didn't understand what I was saying, so I would have to come up with yet another analogy to explain something and something that I know he would understand. That's how I came up with the meatloaf analogy. Is the universe a meatloaf? No, it's not a meatloaf. No. But I can tell somebody, visualize a meatloaf and then visualize slices in that meatloaf, and they can see this. So then they realize that each slice is a universe onto itself, and you're traveling through these slices. And there's also angles to these slices. They can see this. They can't see something that's an EA crystal and so they can't see this. They can't see. No, they can't see that kind of product. And that's not their fault. They have other talents and expertise that are way beyond me. I have an understanding and I understand what this is. They are trying to understand. So it's for me to teach. In order to teach, you have to figure out what your people already know and then try to make an analogy to that. My chat has gone down. Last one I have is from Rick Riley. It is raining hard here. I hope that I don't lose power. You're like, Bob, but you're so paranoid. It's 2022. I have almost 14,000 hours on my generator. The TBO, the top base double feather generator, is 5,000 hours. I have to usually go out there to nurse it to start because the compression is so low. It desperately, I have to go to Indiana pick up its exact replacement. The one I'm picking up only has 500 hours on it. So yeah, it's here on Long Island. We lose power constantly, especially in bad rainstorms with high wind and thunderstorms. We have an electrical system. I have transformer. My transformer outside my house on a pole is rusting. Is rusting. That means that the regular paint wore off, the primer wore off, and I see rust. The They're not going to change it until it blows up from a leak and somebody's hurt. That's how bad our electricity here. And they want me and others to buy an electric vehicle, which loses. If I charge it 100%, it's going to lose that charge in 3 days. It'll lose 20 to 30% of that charge in 3 days just sitting in the driveway. That's something else they don't tell you about. They also don't tell you about that you're going to have to rebuy or another battery for $15,000 to $20,000 in 10 years, if not less, maybe 5 years. They're not going to tell you that either. Yeah. Um. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Let me see something. Yeah. Hate that. That's what's coming here now. Now, it's my house in Vermont, and right there it is 71 degrees out, 53% humidity, sunny, green. Yeah, it's nice. Just heard thunder. So, yeah, yeah. Patty Burns makes a very good point. Like I said, that's a big another big flag for me because I, I would not take. I mean, the whole thing is free speech, free speech, and I had a lesson of this when I was 7 years old. I was 7 years old. I was down in Georgia, and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I said to my father, I said, "How can they have a Nazi parade?" He said, "Yep, the First Amendment means that everybody has the right to be excuse my language, but an asshole, so that nobody can tell me that I can't read and talk about this. Okay. I totally agree with them because they're talking about now banning the Bible. And the Bible is a book of love. It's not a book of hate. There's no hate speech. Jesus' big thing is he's telling you not to judge. For if you do, you'll be judged. I mean, he talks about take the plank out of your eye before you try to take the splinter out of somebody else's. That's not hate speech. So, warning somebody about a cliff, and by the way, that bridge is out. So don't go on that road because if you do, you're going to fall off that cliff. That's not hate speech. You just told the person not to do it. So if they do it and they drive off the cliff, does that mean you gave them hate speech? Because you're telling them that the bridge is out? You're warning them, right? And you're saying there is a detour on this other path that's going to get you to a nicer place, much nicer place, right? That's not hate speech, but you can't do what you were planning to do. It's going to get worse. It's going to get a lot worse. Has everybody bought as much food as they possibly can? I only have 12 people watching this. You people, I mean, I'm looking at my views. They're really, really. I need, I need, I need you guys to share my videos because YouTube is banning them in every way, shape, and form. It's sunny out now. That storm it's got blue skies like you'll believe. Yeah, this is a typical summer here on Long Island. This is what you see. You see fast moving storms, and it's really, really hot. That's good. Rick, I hope that God does a miracle to you and really grabs you back, and through the night fixes it like only He can, so that you'll wake up and you'll be like, "What happened? This was all just a bad dream." And don't think that that sounds possible because that's what happened to me. Okay, there you go. Smart, very, very smart. The thing that I love about your place is that you got a creek, brook, river. I have a pond up on my house in Vermont. I have two ponds actually. I have up a pond and a low pond, and then literally down from the mountain on the Appalachian Trail is the best trout fishing probably in the entire Northeast. So, and the interesting thing was during the COVID crisis, you didn't need a fishing license. You could take anything, any amount you wanted. So at least they were sensible about that. And my friend would send me pictures all the time about. Uh, I was crying. Yeah, all the beautiful trout that he was getting: brook trout, brown trout, rainbow trout. Yeah, worst. Oh no, Rick, there's worse. Trust me. When you wake up, you've been put back into your body, and half your body does not work, and you can't talk. You can only grunt and blink your eyes, and the entire half doesn't work. You can't lift your hand. You can't lift your finger. You can't do anything on your right side at all. And even your left side has been affected to where it's a lot weaker. um, well, obviously, I know a little bit about canning. My name is Ball. My family, um, yeah, that those are that balls. They unfortunately sold it, but yeah. So if you buy the ball book, the ball canning book, and a good canner, just follow the recipes right down to the letter, minute, second. You'll be fine. Well, let's all pray for Rick to catch some fish again. And like I said, Rick, there's nothing that God can't can cure. It's my favorite too. It's also very, very, very good for you because it has iodine, it has brain food, it's low in fat, it has good fats. The fats that are in it, you got to eat it because they're really, really good fats. So the only thing that you really shouldn't eat in fish is the scales and the bones. But I don't know. I mean, I love sardines. So I haven't been able to eat them until I get over these stupid kidney stones. They're breaking up. That's why I've been in and out because they've been again. I had one breakup in my right kidney. It's been spitting out. It is no fun peeing those fragments of broken glass. It's the only way I can describe it. And it stops like you're peeing, and it, all of a sudden your pee stops, and you feel this thing as it's moving, just cutting and ripping, and then blood starts dripping out. Oh, oh, oof. Oh, and then your gonads. Oh my gosh, it's. But I'm thankful. I'm getting rid of them. I just wish they were worth something. I mean, my doctor doesn't even want them. He doesn't even want them. I mean, for all that, if they were like $50,000 a piece, then I would be like, okay, yeah, it sucks, but they're at least $50,000 a piece. Nope, they're worthless. Yep. Yep. And because it is, they don't seem to be concerned about the midterm elections, are they? You hear Republicans all confident it's going to be a red wave, whatever. Really? I hope so, but I don't know. These people, I mean, you're putting it into things where you think that that's stupid. I think that things are going to happen before that election. I think that's what they're counting on because they've been to the floor with these policies. Anyway, I'm going to be ending early. So if there's any questions, please ask them now. I will answer them. I want all you fathers out there to have a great Father's Day and have many blessed days after. That's because Susan, uh, there's a trick to it. Okay. You didn't like fishing because you were there for more than 10, 15 minutes. You didn't catch anything. Okay. The trick is you have to look on the rocks and everything for food and on your lure, you got to put that bait because those fish are feeding on whatever is upstream from them. And that the only way you get to be a big trout is if you eat that kind of stuff, that kind of protein. And they will come up from the deep to get it. Okay. And you have to make it look appealing. I always catch my fish before my cousins because I always wanted to eat because my father and my uncles and they were pure. He didn't keep any when we camped and when we hunt and stuff. No, no extra food, no camping supplies. The only thing they brought was coffee and lard. That was it. They didn't bring anything else. Everything else we had to survive on from the forest, which look, it, it's good. Okay, it's good because you learn how to survive. Okay, that's a skill that's needed to learn. Um, look, the first things I mean, the military taught my sons is how to survive. Two hands and a knife. That's it. How to navigate. I already taught them how to do a lot of these things, but they took them to another. Although I'll tell you something, my son told me that they didn't teach sexness and they didn't teach dead reckoning, navigation, things like this. So there was a time when they lost everything in a mission, and he had to dead reckon his way back to the carrier. So yeah, just like in the Nam, in the beginning they were relying on missiles. You got to rely on your own brains if you lose the stuff. I mean, I don't believe that these in a war these GPSs will be worth anything. I think that everything's going to be INS. That's inertial navigation system. Uh, Thinking like, yeah, my cousin sold it. I didn't get a dime from it, but the it goes back to my great great great. I don't know how many great grandfather, 1845. He came up with the ball jar and that whole lid system. So yeah, you know. So I think all these others are just giving us, oh, it's going to be okay because we're going to, and this is what they're telling you. Okay. So, yeah, I don't believe it. Why is this administration in secret moving literally 100,000 people a month all over the country? Illegals. If it was going to be whatever, well, why do you think they're doing this? Yeah. So I don't. The dollar is perception. So yes and no. It's worthless if you go to the store shelf and you can't buy anything. You could have $100,000 if the shelf is empty. You still the money that's in your pocket, that $100,000, it's worthless if there's no product to buy. Women all over this country are finding that out with the food shortages of the baby food. You're going to start seeing it in chicken. You're going to start seeing it in your main staples. Doesn't matter how much money you have. Okay, are the billionaires going to be affected? Absolutely not. It's going to affect you. It's affecting you now. How much did it cost you to fill your car up? Did I tell you that was going to happen? Did I tell you diesel was going to be $10 before the end of the summer? If you can find it, when Biden administration, and we'll just say Biden, whatever, okay, all three or four of them, I don't know how many of them. I've only seen the one that I met down in Annapolis like three or four times, period. Okay. This other person, I don't know who it is, but it's not him. The guy with the lobes attached, that's not him. Anyway, point I'm trying to make is you can't buy it if they don't have it. The gas lines, when there was gas, they were all out of gas. That's the next thing. Okay. When he starts attacking the oil companies and then doing these things where you can't do this, you can't do that, watch out. Both Nixon and Carter tried to do that. What did it end up with? Shortages. Now you can't store gasoline. It's because of the ethanol. It's hydrotropic. It literally will bring in water. Okay, you could put certain stabilizers and stuff like that in it, but it's going to only be good. So what does that mean? It means you got to change the way you're doing things. Just like you did for COVID, you got to change the way you're doing things. You're going to have to do carpools. You're going to have to get together, and you're going to have to group together with friends. To which that instead of you going as an individual to the market, you're going with these other people, and you take turns so that you reduce your car usage by one fourth. Right, and that's what you have to. That's what we did in the '70s with the gas shortages. We had no choice. My mother had to go with her friends, and it was fortunate because my aunts lived close by, but that's basically what had to happen. Even my uncle, who owned the gas station, wouldn't give us any fuel because he had a contract with the post office. So he said, "I can't buy. I can't do it. Got to give it to. I got to maintain enough fuel for them. Otherwise, we'll lose the whole thing." Yeah. Yep. Rick. Absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. If you're a person and you don't have a gun, definitely save up and get a 12 gauge pump Mossberg 500 shotgun as soon as you possibly can. Something happened, but again, that's a lot. That's a lot of meat, and the a meat processing plant beef just burned. That's the 10th one in 8 months. It's not, they think you're stupid. It's not possible, people. It's just not possible. Okay. It's kind of like Japan. They had the only polycarbonate factory. I remember in the '90s burned to the ground. I don't know if you've ever been to Japan, but they are so anal about everything. There's no, you could throw a match in a paper basket and it'll be out in 5 minutes because it's forget it's a no. And then all of a sudden, the CDs went in shortage, and the price of CDs went quadruple. So all of a sudden, you had all these people trying to buy CDs, and then we started trying to hoard them because people like us, I was affiliated with studios, we needed those CDs to do glass masters and everything else for recording. And if not, the whole thing was going to be shut down. Yes, over. I think that would be a year and a half or something like that. Worldwide, it's even more. Jason Miller, worldwide, it's more. But I was just speaking the past year. Okay, I mean, it really has to make your hair has to go up. You gotta say, wait a minute, what? So, anyway, I hope you guys have a great weekend. I hope you buy as much consumables as you can. Try to can them. Look into beef, chicken jerky, things like that that do not need to be refrigerated. Be ready for the blackouts. The blackouts are coming. Yes, I don't know. I have no idea about the method, but think about it. It's easy to do. All right, right? Max, you want to say goodbye to everybody? Come on, come here. Come on. Woo! Woo! Come on, Hal. Woo! 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 Anyway, hope you fathers have a great Father's Day, and God bless all of you. Please take Jesus into your heart. He's the only way to your salvation, and may you have a blessed weekend. And I'll see you next week. Anyway, God bless.